All right, we've got a few slides that we'll share. We'll talk a little bit about the program and opportunities that are available within it. Uh, let's see. I think I did it right. Can y'all see slides? Yes, great. Okay. I'm always not 100% sure I've got the Zoom right. Okay. So, yeah, so thanks for coming. And we're talking about our research assessment and evaluation concentration, which is part of the PhD in education program here at VCU. Share a little bit about the institution. VCU has about 29,000 students. And we have a lot of international students, 102 different countries represented in our student population. On average, the university student to faculty ratio is 17:1. We were rated as one of the most innovative public universities and in the top 20% for our research and scholarly impact. Number 3 global university of Virginia, largest employer in Richmond. So you can see some of these facts about us. We're also the number 18 public school of education in the United States. And yeah, so to share a little bit more about the School of Education specifically, we do have the number 1 best rated public online education doctorate. We're just rankings were just updated, but we're one of the top 20 education schools in the country. And have quite a large grant funding portfolio, which is helpful to students because those are projects that they can get plugged into and work on. They can provide funding and experience for later careers. And we are located in Richmond, Virginia, the capital of Virginia. So we're just a couple blocks away from the state capitol here and home to a number of large companies here. Richmond has a really vibrant arts community. It's actually pretty, I think, enjoyable place to live. I can say it's my second year living in Richmond. We're also nearby other major areas like DC, Virginia Beach, the mountains. You can get to all these different kind of locations from Virginia within 2 hours or less. And we're on the Amtrak line, so you can take the train those places, which is nice. And so to share a little bit about our faculty, our program has 4 core faculty and 3 affiliated faculty who also have appointments in other centers. And so at this point, we thought we just asked the faculty who are here. You can read a little bit about everybody here on the slide, but for folks that are here, if you'd like to share just a little bit about your research and some of the opportunities that presents for students. Mike, you're first alphabetical, so.
Sure. Yeah, happy to go. So I am interested, along with Nick, we've founded a research lab that studies machine learning and educational research. So that's a big area of interest for me currently. As we all know, machine learning has really sort of taken the world by storm here in the last 5 or 10 years, although it's been around a bit longer. And there are a number of applications of machine learning in educational research. And so we're very interested in those applications and also in how we can use machine learning tools ethically and responsibly. So we have a research lab that meets. I also love social network analysis. So trying to understand how our peers and context shape our beliefs and practices and all sorts of things. So those are just a couple of things that I'm working on that I'm pretty excited about.
I think I can go next. I'm Nick Chen again. As Mike mentioned, we have an exciting machine learning lab. So for my research focus on quantitative methodology, machine learning, higher education mentoring, and STEM education. So in our machine learning lab, we have a lot of exciting machine learning projects. So one of my current leading projects is to optimize students' career development process with AI mentor. So I guess if you are interested in any of like AI applications or machine learning application in educational research, welcome to join our lab, and of course, welcome to join our concentration. Thank you.
Alphabetically, I think I'm next. Yeah, so the work that I do, I lead, as I mentioned earlier, a research and evaluation institute, and we're really focused on thinking around collaborative and community engaged research. We have existing partnerships that initially were all in K-12 education, but we've been expanding out and working with institutes of higher ed and community groups and nonprofits to do research and evaluation work that's really co-designed with communities to have meaningful impacts regionally and with whatever communities we're working with. We're really interested in those as kind of research paradigms and have a lot of applied experiences in that area, and are also teaching classes about research practice partnerships. Just in terms of my personal research interests, I do work related to teacher preparation, teacher residency models. I'm also doing some work with an AI and education group that's interested in kind of like the policy context of AI and how it gets integrated into K-12 and higher ed. Yeah, and I'm also doing some work, working on a project now looking at work-based learning, internships and work-based learning across the state of Virginia, and cross-sector partnerships related to that. So kind of, dabble around a lot of different fields, but that's kind of the nature of the work that the center takes on. But what I will say for prospective students, there's a lot of opportunities to engage in applied work. So that's what we offer.
Yeah, thanks. And I can share a little bit about my work as well. So I do work in a couple of areas. One is critical quantitative methodologies, including quant crit, which is critical race theory in quant methods, as well as queer quantitative methodologies. Right now I have a research group of 3 students, 3.5 students, I guess. One part-time working with us. And so, yeah, so we're doing a number of things. One of which is we're doing an experimental evaluation of how educators react to gender policies in K-12 schools. Another is we've been doing some systematic review work around how sexuality and gender identity get taken up in the field of educational psychology, or maybe I should say how they don't get taken up in the field of educational psychology. Yeah, we also have an active project going on around counselor education and how mental health counselors and school counselors are educated to provide gender and sexuality affirming care, and also thinking about how policy contexts influence that. And so, yeah, so I mean, I think like the other folks who've shared, there's lots of opportunities for students to plug into ongoing research and get applied experiences, publications, grant writing experience. All of that is very much available for our doctoral students. Oh, there they are. Now the rows are labeled. Sorry, I didn't realize it was animated. The other thing we have here in the School of Education is we have a number of centers and institutes, one of which Jesse just was talking about, the Institute for Collaborative Research and Evaluation that he directs, and one of our other affiliate faculty is also associated there. We have an International Educational Studies Center. The Partnership for People with Disabilities is quite research active and grant active, and a number of our students work with them. Metropolitan Educational Research Consortium is another place where we've had a number of students get plugged in on projects, as well as the Center for Teacher Leadership and Virginia Adult Learning. These that are highlighted in yellow are ones where we have quite a few students that have had either externship placements, grant-funded assistantships, research experiences of various types. And so we sort of are highlighting those as ones that we tend to have a lot of students interested in and a lot of students placed with. And then also the Center for Innovation in STEM Education, Minority Education Research Center, Child Developmental Center, Rehabilitation Research and Training Center, Urban Education and Family Center. So our school has quite a kind of diverse portfolio of research activities, centers, institutes, doing all sorts of different information, or all sorts of different types of projects, research, evaluation, applied projects, and all of which are potential places that students in the doctoral program could get some experience. In terms of the broader context of the School of Ed, we do have a few doctoral programs. So there's a EDD, Doctor of Education program that has 2 tracks. There's a PhD in Special Education. Most of our doctoral programs are housed within the PhD in Education, which includes us in Research Assessment and Evaluation. And there are 5 other concentrations as well. And so in courses, all the PhD in Education students tend to be sort of commingled in courses. And so there's that opportunity for interdisciplinary learning as well, particularly in the core and the research courses. Okay. Some of the features of our program. So we are a Research One university, and we have the commensurate level of grant and funding resources available. Our program and our school really as a whole are really devoted to applied research that meets pressing community needs. We do offer travel and professional development funding for graduate students, for example, to attend the conference and present research. There's some funding available to support that. And our program offers a really unique mix of training across sort of traditional plus sort of cutting edge methodologies in research and statistics, as well as mixed methods and mixed methodologies. And as you heard us sort of talk about, there's opportunity for some really interesting collaborative cross-disciplinary research team experiences that cross a number of different disciplines, some of those within the school, some across multiple schools or colleges. In terms of things our students tend to get involved in, or experiences that they tend to have, all of these would be available for students in our program to work on grant proposals, program evaluation projects, to write and be an author on peer-reviewed journal articles, book chapters, and of course, conference papers and presentations. Like we tend to bring a good number of students to like American Educational Research Association is our big national conference, and then some of the smaller or more specialized conferences as well. I'm not going to read this to you. It's also on our application checklist, so it is available on the website. But just a bit of information, we anticipate that in this cycle that Dr. Broder, Dr. Chang, and myself will all 3 be actively seeking to recruit new students, which is something to maybe to keep in mind when thinking about fit between your research and our program. That said, we're open to admitting students across a range of different content areas and would be super excited if you were interested in some of the areas listed. So we can support students who want to do a variety of research and assessment things, but would be really excited to help support some folks in these areas that we're particularly well positioned to provide mentoring and career development opportunities within. And then in terms of program overview, it's a 60 credit hour program. So typically takes folks 3 years, 3 to 4 years to finish the degree from start to finish. That depends, right, on if you're coming full-time, part-time. I'm just seeing in the chat. Yeah, this is for the research assessment and evaluation concentration. Specifically, I'm not sure when the leadership policy and justice session is. Right. But yeah, within the program, we have 6 hours of core foundations of education coursework, then 15 of core research courses, which are shared across the PhD in education, and then 27 hours of RAE specific concentration courses. And the list of all those courses is available on the website. Then something that's a little bit unique to our program, we have 3 hours of externship where you would work with some entity outside of our department on applied research and evaluation work. So examples are people sometimes do externships in centers that are affiliated with the school. We have some folks doing externship now with the disability office on campus. We've had people do it with local school districts or school divisions. We have people do this with like departments of education, nonprofit evaluation companies. And so this is an opportunity to get like that, again, that real world applied experience doing research and evaluation work in an applied setting. And even sometimes those turn into career opportunities if folks are pretty impressed by what people do. We've had a number of students get hired by their externships afterward. and then 9 hours of dissertation. At the end of the program, we also do require co-curricular activities, which essentially means working on research and evaluation projects and getting experience doing the work of research assessment and evaluation. And then just quick overview of our admissions requirements. We do require 3 letters of recommendation. Those are typically from faculty or research professionals in some capacity who are familiar with your work and can speak to your ability to pursue a doctoral degree. Personal statement or statement of intent, and there are some instructions for that. There's a checklist on the website for what that should include. We require transcripts of all prior university coursework, and optionally, you can send us GRE scores. You do not have to send GRE scores. That's optional. If you send the GRE scores, we consider those holistically along with the entire application package. And if you don't send GRE scores, we consider the application holistically. And the fact that there's no GRE scores isn't a negative factor in any way. For folks who would be are not currently in the US applying, the graduate school does require English language proficiency evidence, and there's a few different ways that that can happen, such as a prior degree from a institution in one of several countries where English is the primary language, or there's 3 different test options if that's not the case that you can do. And they have that's also linked on the website. The graduate school maintains that requirement. And our applications are due by January 15th, and that's whether you want to start in fall of 24 or summer of 24 is the same deadline of January 15th. And typically our process is that once applications are due, we review those. It's possible we might also ask for an interview, which would be done by Zoom. And then we usually are making decisions by like mid to late February and letting people know about those. Then the other question that is pretty common is funding opportunities. How can you get funded to come to VCU? And the primary answer to that would be that we do have graduate research assistantships available on a competitive basis. They vary a little bit in what exactly they look like, but they might be either a 9 months of academic year or 12 months of calendar year contract. They do include a tuition waiver and a monthly stipend, which is similar to salary. And it might be that you'd be assigned to work with some of our faculty, center faculty, other campus entities. And some of these might be, we have a variety of funding mechanisms. So we have some that are funded by the school, and others that are grants or contracts to do a specific project. So those would be funded by some sponsor. And so because of the different funding sources, the specifics can be a little bit different, but they're going to involve typically 20 hours of work a week, not typically, always a monthly stipend and always the tuition waiver in addition to that. And so the tuition waiver completely covers the cost of tuition, but usually doesn't cover like the university fees. So there'd be some still small amount left over. Yeah, and I'll just put this up and then open up for questions, but of course, feel free to reach out to me with questions about the concentration. We also have staff in the Office of Strategic Recruiting, I forget the exact name of it. That's the soeinfo@vcu.edu who can help with more general questions if you're having trouble with the system, anything like that.